Hello, everyone, and welcome to our discussion on HBO's Westworld. There are so many questions we have after that mind-bending season finale. You guys ready to tackle them?
Yeah, I'm ready to go.
All right, let's get to it. All right, we are back with our panelists, Ryan Chichester, Josh Silverman, and Richie Agostinoni. Now, before we begin, I must warn everyone watching this video that we are going to be covering material that will spoil the show if you haven't finished watching Season 1. We will also be speculating on what might happen in Season 2. You have been warned. And with that, guys, let's start with our opening questions. What was your overall impression of the show, and what do you think was the most singular, surprising moment in Season 1?
I love the show. Everything from the acting to the writing, and kind of like a Dexter feel where it made you root for a serial killer. I loved how the show makes me root for hosts and robot creatures, basically.
Yeah, totally. Yep.
Most surprising would be, I think, Bernard actually being Arnold, or Bernarnold, you might say.
Bernarnold.
Because I thought his big reveal was already done as the host, but what do you know? He gets another big reveal later in the season.
Absolutely, Josh.
I thought the acting was awesome. Bernard, he was great. Anthony Hopkins, who plays Ford, he did a great job. And just the way, like, the writers and just the whole show, the way they feel, you know, you really connected with, like, every character in, like, different episodes. You're rooting for different people, like you mentioned. The biggest surprise was Bernard. When I was watching it, I was catching up, so I wasn't online or anything looking at any theories. My mind was blown. I was like, wow.
What about Bernard? Him being
the host.
Him being Arnold, or him just being a host?
No, him being a host. I did not see that coming at all.
Absolutely. Richie?
I think the show did a good job with the writing. It took you through consciousness and what it takes to be conscious. Just following Dolores, you learn more about the Westworld with her, and you come to this realization at the end that there's more going on to this game than was on the surface level. But I think the moment for me was the Will Man in Black reveal, because it messes with you as an audience because you're rooting for this guy so much as the hero, and then they just turn it upside down. He's the villain the whole time. So I think that kind of messes with audiences. Audiences are not used to that in shows, and certainly it was a bold move, and it paid off for the show.
And one quick thing. The fact that our library is called Arnold Bernard, that blew my mind. I was like,
wow.
wow.
I didn't even think
Arnold
of that.
Bernard. Arnold Bernard.
That made me
Arnold Bernard Library, right?
Yeah.
So, and actually, there's something else about that with Arnold and Bernard. If you take Bernard Lowe, Bernard's full name, and you take Arnold Weber,
it's an anagram.
It's an anagram. You can switch the letters around, and it will actually be. It'll spell out. Yeah.
The show's so awesome.
Yeah,
There's just so many levels to everything.
For me, like with shows, it's the little things that count. Which is why having, for me, the William reveal was the most surprising. The fact that I thought William's storyline was happening in the present, but having it actually be in the past. But then when you go and rewatch the series, you realize the little hints that have been dropped along the way to make you think that, oh wait, this is supposed to be in the past. For me, it's those little things that actually made this show what it is. All right, so our first question: do you think Dr. Ford is going to come back? So we saw Dr. Ford when we last saw Ford. He was shot in the head by Dolores at the Delos Corporation gala after Ford resigned from his position as a chairman. Do you think, park director, do you think he's going to come back? It's a crazy question, I know, but there's actually a lot of backing up for each side here.
I think he's going to come back. I think that you can see when Bernard brings Teresa down before Bernard kills her, the place is making a new host. It's an undocumented host. So I think that host was Ford. And I think Ford's somewhere far away when he was shot by Dolores at the end of the season. So that's my thinking on that, but I know you guys both have really good points about this.
I think he is dead for two reasons. Well, first being, I don't think they can financially bring back Anthony Hopkins for another season.
Yeah.
He's a top-tier actor, one of the best all time. So I think he had his time on the show. They got the top talent out of him. And then my second reason being is that his whole speech at the end would mean nothing if he comes back. That whole poetic speech about becoming the music That's such a poetic way to go out on the show. And if shows like Game of Thrones have taught us anything, it's that when you want to kill a character, do it the right way and do it for good.
Yeah.
So I think he's dead for good.
I agree with that, but to kind of go an opposite route as
Yeah.
Josh, I do think in his secret lab when we saw the reveal of Bernard as a host, there was a host being built in there.
Definitely.
Maybe it was Ford's host, and the host is still alive, and it was
Yeah.
actually Ford that
got
was
shot.
dead. And Ford just takes so much pride in his creations and is so big on control, you can tell. And that quote that he mentioned about Beethoven, Mozart, and I think Smash Mouth was the third one, never died. They just became music. Maybe Ford is just becoming a product of his own creation and is now a host, living another host.
I think I agree with that to an extent. Yeah. So, do you remember Ford's speech to Bernard when he asks Bernard, "What did we do? What did man do to the Neanderthals?
We ate them.
We
ate
ate
them."
them." Ford believes that these hosts that he's created with Arnold, I think he truly believes that they're the next stage in human evolution. And in order for them to actually evolve, humans have to go. So I think that was actually Ford's human self who was shot. So Ford is dead. And the host that he was making was actually a younger version of Ford. Because like you said, Richie, we can't get Anthony Hopkins to come back. That's way too costly. And so I think the younger version of Ford is going to come back, and he is going to take control of the host uprising, because Ford never likes to relinquish control. I think we've seen that throughout season 1. We think, oh, the Dallas Corporation is going to come down. They're going to take out Ford. No. Ford is in control of everything in a way that nobody else on the show even has a clue about. So I think Ford is coming back, and he is going to assert himself like we haven't seen before. All right. Next question we have here. Do you believe that the hosts are truly conscious at this point at the end of the show? Or is there still something controlling them? Are they actually making their own decisions?
I keep going back and forth with this one, but I'm going to say no, just because of, like we just talked about, Ford's nature of the desire to control everything. And we saw it with Maeve towards the end of the season, where she thought she was starting to achieve consciousness and make her own decisions, when in reality the whole time it was Ford again. He clearly has a back door into all these hosts, whether it be from the grave now or still living. That remains to be seen. But no, I don't think they're all fully conscious yet.
I 100% agree. I was 100%. It almost annoyed me to a point where I was like, all right, Maeve's going to come and like derail the show. And like, I feel like there's a character in a lot of shows, like Jack's daughter in 24, just because 24 Legacies come back. But just like characters that kind of derail the process, and like those were always annoying to me. And I was like, oh, there's going to be another annoying storyline. And then we found out that she wasn't making her own decision. And to me, that not only blew my mind in the show, but like honestly, like I woke up the next day and I was like, all right, like I'm going to go to class, I'm going to get something to eat. Like, what if I'm just doing that because like someone's telling me to do that? Like, it's crazy.
The only wild card I have for that is Dolores, being that Arnold invested so much into her that I feel like if anybody is close to achieving it, it's her, and if she hasn't already. But once again, it's a little questionable, because at the end, when Ford does get shot in the head, he kind of gives her this look like it's time to do this. So is she just part of his big plan? I don't know. It seems to be leaning that it is just Ford still driving these motives the whole time. So I would probably agree with you too.
Well, if there's any way that Hopkins isn't actually dead, then 100% I think they're not in control.
Yeah.
Because that means he made that happen. But if he is actually dead, then I'll put it like 50.
But here's what makes that quote he says when he, like the whole Mozart speech at the end so good, is if he is actually dead and he's still driving all these hosts, he is still living on the show, just through the hosts.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So if he is still pushing all the buttons behind the scenes, he's still there technically, even though he's dead.
He might have his consciousness like in the computer somewhere. And that's the thing about Ford, is that we think that we know like how, what Ford can and can't do, but then he keeps on surprising us even further. Do you guys remember the scene where Bernard tries to get answers out of Ford, and he uses Clementine. He gives Clementine a gun and says, "Hey, if you don't tell me these answers, Ford, I'm going to have Clementine shoot you." Well, Bernard, is like the senior programmer on the show, and even he didn't know about the back door that Ford put in Clementine, and
Bernard built in Clementine.
That Bernard
Ford,
built,
yeah.
and even Bernard didn't know. There's nothing that people or hosts or whoever can come up with to try to supplant Ford that Ford hasn't already thought about. And to go off of that, I don't really think that the hosts are truly conscious yet. I think they might get to that point if they keep trying to go, but they have to get past Ford, and Ford seems very, formidable at this point. All right, moving on. This is more of an opinion that we want to tell the writers of the show. Should the show explore the other worlds? At the end, during the season finale, we saw the chase through Samurai World, and there's other worlds like Roman World and Greek World and all these other worlds, other parks within the whole realm of Westworld. Should the show explore those other worlds, or is that going to water down the writing and the characters that we've built up so far?
Well, I think regardless of our opinions, it's going to happen. The writers have said they want to venture out and explore other worlds, and with the whole Felix leaving Maeve that card with her daughter's location on it, it says Park 1 on it. I feel like that's designated to show us that there's going to be other parks to look at. In terms of my personal opinion, I want to, the fan in me wants to say no. I think of shows like Weeds, which was fantastic for a few seasons. As soon as they leave Agrestic, the show just plummets.
Yeah.
And so Westworld's where it all started. I really don't want them to hit the reset button and start explaining this whole new world again, back from the drawing board. I think they could make a good transition into another world. How they'll do it, I don't know. It's not coming out for another year or so anyway, so they have the time. So we'll see. But I'm torn.
I'll agree with you on that. Lost was a little bit the same way. Once they left, no spoilers. That show's been out for 10 years. But
yeah, exactly.
Spoiler
alert for Lost, everybody.
Once they left the island, the show derailed completely. So I don't think they should explore, but unless they kept the same characters, they went to Samurai World and the host fought samurais, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
But they have to keep the same characters regardless of where they go.
Exactly.
We're in an age where you can spin off a show easily, like Better Call Saul. We have The Flash coming from Arrow. So
and I think there's something coming out with Game of Thrones too.
Yeah.
Which is super exciting.
Like the origins of Game of Thrones, whatever.
Oh my God.
But yeah, I think you make it as a spin-off, but I wouldn't want it to hurt the integrity of the Westworld show.
Yeah.
You can do Samurai World, Greek World, whatever, on a spin-off show with new characters, and those bring in, those types of settings bring in new ideas and stuff like that. It'd be a cool spin-off. I hope it doesn't mess with the main show.
But you don't think that they should explore this in future seasons? You think if they go this route, it should be a spin-off show?
If anything, it'd be kind of cool to see if what happened at the end of Westworld when the hosts start to take over, if they can bleed into other worlds, where sort of the other worlds are affected by what happened in Westworld. That'd be kind of cool.
If
there's a crossover, that'd be kind of cool.
A crossover would be cool, definitely.
But I would still give this time to develop because there's still a lot you need to flesh out with Westworld right now.
Yeah, I feel like we don't know everything about Westworld yet.
Yeah.
And everything about these characters and their backstories quite yet. I think if we start introducing, because new characters in Samurai World or Rome World or whatever they try to do, it's going to be we have to learn these new characters, and we're not going to have the same connections to them that we've built through season 1 with them just being in Westworld, right? All right. Next question. This is a quick question. Will Stubbs and LC come back? The last time we saw Stubbs, he was attacked by the Native American tribe, and last time we saw LC, she was being choked by Bernard. But we didn't see either of them die on screen. If they do come back, how do you think they will be important in season 2?
They're definitely going to come back, both of them.
Definitely.
Like you said, Stubbs just gets tackled. They don't really show him get killed, and he's been portrayed as this macho human agent. I could see him taking on almost a Rambo loner type, maybe a solo storyline where he's one of the remaining humans in Westworld. All this chaos is going on.
Yeah, I agree with you on the solo storyline part. It might be we just follow Stubbs for a while and he just comes back.
Exactly.
He just joins up with the gang, later on.
And Elsie, I didn't take the time to do this because it seems hugely complicated. But on one of Westworld's websites, I read if you decode this message, this GPS comes up and it's Elsie's voice, like saying like hello or is anyone there? So I feel like they're trying to hint at something. I didn't feel like going through all that decoding stuff. I just used the internet, but
Yeah.
but I think she's alive.
I think we'll probably see them run into each other. Like maybe Stubbs saves her or something, but I could also see them being dead. I don't think they're crucially important like
Yeah.
Teddy or Ford or Bernard. So if they are gone, then that's it. But I could definitely see them teaming up and maybe he saves her or something.
If they are alive, it's a cool perspective shift from the first season because it's like now they are like the minority in the host's world, being that no longer are like humans, the hosts dealing with the humans. It's the other way around, sort of type thing. So if you want to give that perspective, you can have them like almost like wasteland survival scenarios for them trying to escape Westworld that is now probably sealed off from the world because of what happened.
And it's not a very good situation for them. They're basically powerless. When Stubbs tried to ask the Native Americans to cease all motor functions repeatedly times, they didn't do it. So I think they've lost control of the host that they used to have. But I think if LC comes back, she's going to be instrumental in helping the humans defend themselves against the host, because I think there's going to be, later on in future seasons, there might be this huge big war that's going to go on.
And you also
Hosts and humans. And LC's going to be instrumental on the human side.
Yeah. And I think the most interesting character is Arnold Bernard, because he has empathy for humans, and he's shown that before. Mm-hmm. And he especially has empathy for her. He's worked with her technically. Yeah. So if they meet up again, how is that dynamic, with human to host going to change for the next season?
That would be really
if he really cares for her.
Yeah.
On like an emotional level, it's a conflict of interest.
It might present some decisions for Bernard, and it might actually force him to actually make a decision.
Yeah.
And
is that truly consciousness?
And is it consciousness at that point? All right. Last quick question before we get into Richies Theory, which he told me before we started taping this, which is very, very interesting. Who's in the most danger in season 2? Who needs to watch their back? Who's going to be whose life is in the most peril at this point?
Just given the trend of the show, it could be anybody.
Yeah.
You go first.
I think it's Charlotte, who works like on the board or directors or whatever. It seemed like her and Ford really had a rivalry going. So I think if Ford is still alive, then she's gone. Otherwise, I think somehow she seems very careless. So I think she's toast in the next season.
Any human left in the park, really. Like out with the old, in with the new type thing.
Yeah.
So I would just watch out if you're a human for next season.
Yeah. I would, and to go off on the humans, I would say William. William throughout the, William has been revealed as the Man in Black. And he wanted a challenge. He wanted the host to fight back. He wanted it to feel real. Well, guess what, William? It's real now. So how are you actually going to fight back now that the game is real? All right, Richie, what's your theory? That you got for us?
I can't take full credit for this. My friend came up with this a week after we finished watching the show. Mm-hmm. He texted me. He goes, "Did you notice that on the train, May leaves her purse or pocketbook behind?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "So?" And he goes, "There's details that are important in the show, and if she's acting under Ford's influence, he speculates that this could be some sort of bomb or weapon put in the train, being that the train is the way you get to Westworld, right?
Yep.
You seal that off. You seal Westworld off. It's its own thing now. With that bomb, you blow up that main hub that you keep seeing throughout the series. Mm-hmm. So if that's a bomb, according to my friend's theory, that's a good way for Ford to seal off his creation from the world. Mm-hmm. And now it exists in its own universe, basically. He lets the hosts evolve, and eventually they'll get out there. But it's an interesting theory because it makes our world of Westworld just so much smaller, but so much more important.
And that theory totally corresponds with the writers and the direction they want to take the show. They've been saying for so long, season 1 was control, season 2 is about chaos. That would be pretty chaotic if you seal off Westworld.
It would definitely
with a bunch
open
of
up with
renegade
chaos,
hosts.
for sure.
Yeah.
Josh?
I'm just excited.
You're just excited. I'm excited too. This show really makes you think about your own existence. Like, what is what is consciousness? How can we really tell if any of us are actually conscious, you know, or if we're actually being controlled by something, you know?
That's crazy.
It's crazy, guys. All right, guys. Well, that is going to be it for our discussion on Westworld. What a great show. So be sure to check out Q30television.com because that is where we post all of our content, and make sure that you are subscribed to Q30 TV on YouTube and hit the notification icon to stay up to date on whenever Q30 goes live. Thanks for watching.